So in order to do this, I'm just going to what we should do when you see something like this maybe is think, all right, if I'm asked to do the median from segment PA to vertex R, that means I'm going to go from this side, and it's got to go through to R. So I'm going to go from this side here to R. So that means to do my construction here, all right, how should we start this construction? Mason, what do you say? How should I start going about doing this construction that the directions are asking us to do here?
Put your compass like a little more than halfway.
Okay. On what point?
On point P.
Okay, P, or in this case you could do A, right? So you said P, so we'll do P. Now I'm going to turn my paper just to kind of get, because we want to bisect PA, right? So I'm going to turn my paper so that PA is kind of facing me. And you said a little more than halfway. You got it. So there we go. All right, and then do the arc, yeah? All right. Great. And then what, Mason?
Do the same thing on point A.
Yep. So from point A, we're going to do the exact same thing. Okay. If you don't like having this huge picture on your construction, you can erase away some of the mark, but just leave the places where the two things intersect. Okay. You can race back some of it if you want to, but leave the intersection points. And now what do we do, Mason?
You line up the straight edge. But don't draw the line, just draw the point.
Good, right, yes, very easy. Students are like, okay, and now I just draw on the perpendicular bisector, but no, we just want to find the midpoint. So right there, we mark that midpoint. And now for the last step, what are we going to do here, Mason? Last thing.
Draw from the point R.
There you go. You got it. Good job, Mason. And there's our median. Okay. Do not erase completely these marks here. You need to have these marks shown so that I know that what you did was correct. Okay, so please don't erase those. That's part of your work. Part of showing your work. And there's the median. All right, any questions on that one? All right, so let's see here. The next one, let's go to Mary. Perpendicular bisector of side TH. So what should I do here?
Okay, so you start from angle versus angle H.
Okay, angle H, gotcha. I'm going to turn my paper some here, okay.
Make an arc there.
All right.
But it has to be more than halfway.
Right, so yep, and you can see my compass is open that much, so thank you for reminding me, that's good. Okay.
Then you go to angle T.
Angle T.
And do the same thing.
Same arc, and hopefully they should intersect at two spots. There they are. And now what?
Now you draw a line within the two.
The two arcs intersect here, yep. Okay, and we actually do draw this now, right? Because we're being asked for the perpendicular bisector, so we're going to draw it in. Okay. And there it is. And again, right angle. You don't have to put the right angle in there, but I like to. I'm also going to mark each of these sides congruent because that's what it is, right? It's a perpendicular bisector, so it is congruent on either side there. I guess I could have done the same thing over here, too, for my median as well, right? Mark these two parts congruent because it is a midpoint. But notice there's no right angle there for the median one. Okay? Questions on any of that? Feeling pretty good? Okay. Again, stop me if you get stuck on anything. All right, and then Lindsay, angle bisector of angle I. How do we start this one?
Well, first you have to put your compass on angle I.
Angle I, so the vertex there, okay.
And draw a little arc.
Okay, so I'm going to close mine up a little bit, and then, yeah, so just like that.
And then you have to put it on, put the compass on where the lines intersect and then draw another arc.
Where the arc intersects. So yeah, we're going to do one here and one here, okay? And so, now guys, here's the thing, right? We already kind of know what the angle bisector should look like, right? If we were to sketch it in, all you guys kind of have an intuition or an intuitive sense about where this should go, right? It should go somewhere right here. So to kind of help you remember what your construction is, you're well, you know that you need to have some sort of crisscross happening right in here somewhere, right? So that you can then make the angle bisector the way you want it to be. So it's how can I get that to happen? Well, Lindsay's exactly right. You put your point right where you just did that first arc, and they intersect the side, and you just swipe kind of in okay, I can see that if I were to like eyeball an angle bisector here, it would go through right about in there somewhere. And I'll do the same thing from this other point, creating that crisscross, and aha, and I can see that that should be about right. That looks like it should be the angle bisector. Okay, and so then Lindsay, we finish off by doing what here? Yeah, through the intersection there of the two arcs, the crisscross. Okay, and then voila. And if you want, you can even mark in the fact that these two angles here are congruent. Okay, but that's the idea. On the CRES, there will be constructions. Okay, some things like you'll actually construct with a compass and straight edge. Other things, it'll be like a picture of a construction, and you'll need to be able to like identify. It's like based on the way the person is using the compass, what kind of construction are they doing? So you should be familiar not only with just like being able to do the construction, but also being able to recognize like, well, because the markings are this way, then that must mean that this person is doing an angle bisector or a perpendicular bisector or something like that. Okay, so you should be familiar with it that way. All right. And then let's see here. We got. There it is. Okay, we got the special centers, right? We don't want to forget about those. All right, so it says use construction tools to construct the centroid of the first triangle and the incenter of the second triangle. So the first triangle is the centroid, and to construct the centroid, Tanner, how do we do that? Well, he's gone. There he is. Tanner, how are you supposed to do that?
You have to find the midpoint of one of the lines.
Okay, so I'll do that here. I'm going to turn my paper and find the midpoint of this shorter side here. Okay, so that's the perpendicular bisector construction. But then we just find the midpoint. Okay, so I found the midpoint of one of my sides.
And draw a line to the far angle.
Yep, and, oh gosh, I don't know if my protractor, oh, it'll just barely make it. There we go. Okay, so yeah, the far vertex. The opposite vertex, you could say, too. Okay, and that created a what? What type of special segment we just draw there, Tanner? What's the name of that one? A median. Very good. Yeah, a median. Yep. Okay, and then we just do the same thing to another side, right? All right, so I'm going to go to this side right here. And again, if there's too many markings on your paper, feel free to like erase marks, erase where they intersect, like the actual points you're going to use. Right? You can just erase like some of the bigger arcs, or just don't draw the full arc. You know, just draw like the piece where they look like they're going to intersect, and go about it that way. Okay. All right. So again, perpendicular bisector construction, but we actually draw the perpendicular bisector in. We just mark the midpoint. And then connect the vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. Like so. And so there is there's our centroid, where the two medians intersect. Okay? Thank you. All right, great. And then Hunter, the second one here, it says we're supposed to find the in-center. So what kind of construction, how should I start going about doing that? Okay, so pick an angle, bisect it, yeah? All right, so same thing that Lindsay told us to do there. So we swipe and hit both sides. And swipe in. Okay, so there's one angle bisector, and then we got to do another one, right?
Yeah.
So let's pick a different side, different angle here. Oh, my compass moved on me. Okay, so it looks like the in-center is like right there. Okay. I can show that. So again, the in-center, Hunter, should be equidistant to what? The side. So that means the circle that we draw should, how should that kind of go? Yeah, barely touch every side. So it should stay inside our triangle. So I kind of like put my point of my compass right there on the in-center. Can I open it up so that it just barely touches the side? Hopefully. Oh, that is not too shabby at all. Look at that. Boom. That's pretty good. I'll take that. So there it is. Okay? So the circle is inscribed in the triangle, right? Inscribed. It's inside. All right? So there's the in-center. Okay. So there's that. Any questions on any of those? All right. So there's one more construction that I wanted to show you guys. Okay. And it kind of is, well, if you can remember the angle copy of an angle construction, then you should be able to do this one without any trouble. Okay. So let me get to that real quick here. So if you remember, okay. Let me see. So what we're going to actually look at, the construction we're going to look at is the it's a parallel line through a given point. All right, so if you'd like, or if you would, maybe turn to another sheet of paper or something like that. If you really want to use, I have some blank printer paper up there if you want to use this printer, online printer paper. If you want to go up and grab a piece of that, you can feel free to, or if you just want to do it on your own, that's fine too. Okay, but we're going to talk about we're going to construct a parallel line through a given point. Okay. Okay, but first, let's, oh my goodness, handwriting. But first, let's remember how to copy an angle. Okay. So, we'll start by copying. To copy an angle, we first need to start with an angle. So I'd suggest on your paper somewhere, just draw an angle. And you can name the angle however you want. I'll name it ABC. Very exciting name. It doesn't really matter where you put the point A or point C. I mean, just, you know, it's on the angle there somewhere. But I'm going to make B the vertex. Okay. And so now in order to copy this, and let's just say I'm going to copy it over here in this space, I need something to start with. Okay, just like when we copy a segment, I start my copy of a segment by drawing a ray. It just kind of goes out way longer than I need it to go. So we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to start by just kind of starting with one side of my angle. I know one side of my angle has to be a straight kind of line or a ray there. Okay? And so I'm going to make this the vertex of my copy. So what should I probably name this vertex if I'm going to copy it? Yeah, B prime if you want to. I'm just going to name it B. I'll just name it B. The B prime, if we're doing the transformation, for sure call it B prime. But you can just call it B if you want to as well. Okay. And so again, if we're going to copy angle ABC, Okay, that's what we're going to do here. And so, anytime we do any construction with an angle, we always start by putting our compass on what? Where do we always put the point of our compass anytime we're doing a construction dealing with an angle? On the vertex. Yeah, exactly right. So we're going to start the copying by putting our compass on the vertex. Okay? This point A and C, these points, they don't really matter. So you don't need to like measure your compass so that your pencil opens exactly up to point C or point A. Doesn't matter. In fact, I'm going to do it without even touching those two. I'm going to just draw an arc that hits both sides of my angle. Very similar to how we start the angle bisector construction, right? That's the same first step. All right, notice when I do that, I have this arc intersecting at 2 points. It's not A and C, that's okay. It doesn't have to be A and C. In fact, it's better if it's not. Make it 2 other points, okay? It creates those 2 points. So, what I do here, I got to copy over to my copy here. So again, I'm going to put my compass point on vertex B and do an arc. Okay? Now, did I do a good enough job of drawing my second arc here? Yeah, no. What's the problem? It's probably not big enough, right? If I'm trying to copy this angle, if I look at this arc and I compare it to this arc, I didn't copy it big enough. So I need to make my arc longer, and so I'm going to put my compass point back down the same spot. I'm going to make it bigger. In fact, if you go bigger than the previous one, that's okay. So there it is. I made it a little bit bigger. Okay, now notice here, I have this point now. Okay, you see that where that arc intersects the bottom side of the angle, I have this point right there. But now I need to somehow come up with this point. Okay. Does anyone remember from the copy of an angle construction, what we do next? How we do this one next? How can I ensure it? Yeah.
You go to the point you just made and make it awful.
So right down there, right, and you open your compass up so that it can intersect that other point. You want to measure that distance from those 2 points you created. And then mark it off, mark it off with a little arc, like so. So now that you have that exact distance, you can now go over here your copy and do the exact same thing. Point down and then intersection. Okay? Or that's the copy of an angle. And there's the copied angle. This angle is congruent to that angle to measure them. Okay. So there it is. So it starts just like an angle bisector, except when you're trying to find that other side of your angle, you measure the distance between those 2 points. And then that helps you figure out where that second point has to go, right there. And that allows you to copy it. Okay? Same measure. Should be the same measure. Any questions on that? Alright, so here's the other construction that I wanted you guys to learn today. Here's the one that I want to actually do, and this is now draw a line parallel to line EF. I'm going to use the symbols. Right? Draw a line parallel to line EF that goes through point D. Okay, draw a line parallel to EF that goes through point D. So obviously we need a line EF, we need a point D here. So let's do that. So let's see, I'm just going to draw like a There's a nice straight line. I'll call it E, F. And I'll put point D kind of above it, like maybe like right there. Now again, all of you guys kind of eyeball this, right? You see that, okay, my parallel line needs to go somewhere like that, right? I need to construct it so it kind of goes just like that. I mean, obviously this would be no good because it's going to intersect the other line, or like this is no good because it'll still intersect the line. The parallel line should go through point D like this, right? But how can we do that? Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a transversal here that goes through DE, for example. So draw this transversal in. Okay. By drawing in this transversal, we create an angle here. Okay. That angle DEF. And we're going to copy angle DEF. We're going to copy angle DEF, this angle right here, and we're going to copy it up to this right here. We're going to copy it up to here, off of this one side of D there. So we're going to take this angle right here, and we're going to copy it up here so that it comes off this one side of angle D and goes this way. Okay, so again, how do we copy an angle? We start by where will I start? If I want to copy angle DEF, where does the point of my compass have to start? On the vertex, in this case, E, so point on E. Okay, I'm going to close my compass up because I don't want it to be too big. I'm going to have it hit both sides of that angle DEF. Okay, creating these 2 points. Okay, and I'm going to take this exact arc, and you can imagine I'm going to kind of shift this up, and I want to now come out of point D doing the same measurement. So put your point down on point D, and you do the same kind of arc there. Okay, so again, that same arc that we did at E, we're going to copy it up here to point D, like that. Okay, and that creates a point. So now this time, I've got these 2 points already. Okay, you can see it's these 2 points that I have now. I need to come up with this point right down there. So it's like somewhere along in here I have to find that like point where they crisscross. And so how do I do that using the compass? How do I figure out where this other point's going to be along this arc here? What do we now have to do? What do I have to measure here with my compass? Well, let's go back up to the way we copied here. Okay, when I copied this angle, I have my starting point, okay? I did my big arc, and then I copied that big arc there, but put it on point B. And then I had to measure the distance between those 2 points. Well, we'll do the same thing here, okay? Except now, since I'm going from here to there, from this point to this point, I want to measure, I want to measure down. So I'm going to start at here and like kind of open my compass up. Okay, put a little measure there. Does it matter which one I put my compass point on of these 2? Does it matter? No, not really, because I could just do the same measurement from here, right? And it's going to be still the same mark, basically, unless my compass point moves. Okay, it's roughly the same mark. There you go. Okay? And so now we have that distance marked off. We're going to do the same thing here, but I have to measure it from this point. from this point up here, compass point down, and there's our little crisscross, so that gives us our other point. And then you can draw the line between those two. You can see they look parallel, yeah? Okay? So how do we know these two lines are parallel? Why are they parallel? What did we do to guarantee that these two lines are going to be parallel? So let's go Hunter, yeah.
The corresponding angles.
The corresponding angles. Ah, what's true about these corresponding angles?
They equal each other.
They're going to be congruent. Yeah. Since we made congruent corresponding angles here, okay, by the converse of the corresponding angles theorem. So the converse, remember the original corresponding angles theorem is that if these two lines are parallel, then corresponding angles are congruent. The converse is the reverse. It's saying if corresponding angles are congruent, then these two lines are parallel. So that's how we guaranteed that. So we did that by having corresponding angles congruent there. Tanner and Evan, is that what you guys are going to say too? Yeah, and that's right. Okay, so since these two angles are congruent, okay, that creates those congruent corresponding angles, and then therefore they're parallel. Okay. So why don't you guys try it again here, once real quick. So just go ahead, try it one more time. Just make sure you got it down. All right. If you want to do something similar to what we just did here, I don't know. I'll start one out maybe. I mean, you can kind of copy mine somewhat. Okay. So let's say we're going to draw a line parallel to GH, line GH, that goes through point I. Is this your note? Okay. Okay, so I'll call this G and this H. And then, I don't know, I'll put point I right there. Okay, so go ahead and just copy, give yourself an opportunity to practice some there. I'll kind of leave the other one up there so you can see. I'll kind of come around and help as necessary. So you're okay with copying this piece, yeah? Okay, now may I see this? Okay, so when you did your arc like this, okay, and at point D you want to do the same to this point D, right? You can do the same arc here from point D. That creates then this point. So this is point D. So that point matches this point right here. Yeah, exactly. That's where. Because again, why did I do it from D? Because where we do it from before, we did it from E, which is the vertex of this angle. If D is going to be a vertex for the other angle, that means the point needs to go on D. And then you measure the distance, like you did. There. D. That Come on. Yeah. I know. Compass can slide around. I really know. As long as you're showing the work, no. Some of these are very precise. Yeah. What's that? You want to take my compass? That's my compass. You're gonna give me this crap? I can tighten it up for you here. Hang on. Try it now. Yeah. And it'll loosen up and I can tighten it again, so. Is that better though?
Yeah.
So, hopefully, right, we all got to that point, right? We start by drawing a transversal. And then that creates this angle here, IGH, which we want to then construct a corresponding angle, so we'll do the arc through that, and do the same thing from point I. Okay. And that creates those 2 points. I'm going to mark that off. Oof. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing from there. Create some little crisscross. Yeah. And from there, perfectly parallel. Great job, Mr. Wid. Okay. But the markings are there, and so that's what I really be looking for. Okay, there it is. I made that one maybe a little bit too small, I think. That was part of the difficulty. My pen's not very sharp on it. So, okay. So that's the only other construction I want you guys to remember, right? It creates that, remember we had those angle relationships, all those special angle pairs there. So we have, you know, some supplementary angles, right? We have like alternate exterior, we have alternate interior, we have co-interior, right? What's the relationship between co-interior angles? They should be what? 180, very good. And we have corresponding, which is what we're taking advantage of here to help us, you know, answer those questions. All right? Okay. So, if there are no questions, you guys feeling good about that, then what I'm going to have us get started on is the actual CRES review. So this is like